again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Brown's Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski, but you can call me Grizzer, and this is the place where we'll get you caught up on some of the latest news, the headlines, the tidbits, the talk. If it's anywhere close to resembling talk of the Cleveland Browns, we'll be mentioning it here on this show, and then we will give you our take on those news items along the way. Thank you to everybody who's liked our previous episodes, all of you who have subscribed to the channel already, and to those of you who get your comments in the viewer comment section. You already know you are a huge part of the show, not only here on YouTube, but also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Plus, you can get your comments in on the Facebook page, the Brown's Latest Podcast Facebook page, also X and TikTok at Grizzer21, Grizzer 21. And remember, to support our sponsor, Kelce, use the code FANARCHFOOTBALL at Kelce.com, and you'll get $10 when you trade 10. We'll have a little bit more on that in just a moment. But first things first, the pads were back on in Berea, and Deshaun Watson and the deep ball are still not friends. The unofficial depth chart for preseason Game 2 against the Bills is out. And I'm here to tell you that is merely a formality. Along with the offensive line, center and edge depth appear to be top of mind out there in Berea at the moment. And in the viewer comments, what someone is calling a huge mistake. Ooh. Hopefully he's not watching this show. Hopefully that's not what they're referring to. But we'll find out momentarily. But of course, we've got to do this. We've got to show you the tracker. Back in pads. Back in pads. Back in pads. Another solid day for Shedeur. 10-13. Remember, this is 7-on-7 plus 11-on-11. Deshaun Watson, 16 of 25 with a touchdown. Dylan Gabriel, 6 of 8. Taylor Green, goose eggs. But coach says he's playing preseason game 3. So that Thursday nighter against New England, we're going to get to see Taylor Green out there. He said he's doing fine. He's really smart, doing a good job. They just haven't had enough reps for him. So after the dress rehearsal in the first quarter, it's going to be rumpus time for the quarterback. So Taylor Green will get some action in that game. And the thing is this. When you look at the quarterbacks, especially being in pads, like Deshaun had some good throws, but I keep seeing the same thing show up, and it's specifically on the deep ball. First of all, there's this pass to Isaiah Bond, and Denzel Ward getting credit for pass breakups, and but this one not so much. So this Bond starts in the slot, breaks it off to the sideline, and Watson threw it behind him, giving the defensive back the chance to get in there with the right hand and knock it out. You got to throw this guy open because he was open. You see this route a lot with Casey Concepcion. They'll start him in motion. He'll start upfield and then break it off to the sideline. You hit him in stride, he's gone. But you can't be throwing behind these guys, these speed demons, because not only are you breaking their stride, but you're giving the defensive back, like in this case, an opportunity to make a play. And then you got this one. And I saw this one called a pass breakup by Denzel Ward in a couple of spots, but this was not a pass breakup. This ball was severely overthrown by Watson, and Denzel Boston had him beat. He had him on his outside hip. All he had to do was thread the needle, but instead he airmails this thing, and Ward got his hands on it. He overthrew ball. I mean, if you're overthrowing Denzel Boston, that is a feat. And Denzel Ward went up and just dropped it. It was an interception, but he dropped it. But the ball was clearly overthrown. There was another one that he threw to Boston along the left sideline that he completely overthrew Boston on. I mean, he's overthrowing Boston, and these are all on balls that are over 20 yards. He has not made friends with the deep ball yet, has Deshaun Watson. And I'm getting a little concerned because this is what we keep seeing Shedeur Sanders do. These are 11-on-11 plays I'm showing you guys. I'm showing you real football. This isn't touch football. Shador with the dime drops it right in the bucket to Larvidan. You could see the coverage there. Another tight window throw from Shador. I mean, it's been consistent throughout camp. And so as they prep for this joint practice on Thursday against the Bills, I mean, we're still seeing some of the same throwing issues we have seen from Deshaun Watson this entire training camp. And so until Deshaun Watson figures out how to throw the deep ball, I don't see how this is going to help us, because this is the taller version of Dylan Gabriel that we're looking at right now. Because what teams will start doing is just they'll start stacking the box and forcing him to throw. They'll start taking away the flats, and they'll dare him to throw deep, because right now Deshaun Watson can't throw the ball deep. Shador, though, as we have seen throughout the entire training camp, has been able to stretch the field. So we'll see if what they're going to give him during that joint practice on Thursday. But Deshaun Watson's got to come to grips with these deep balls. And I'm sure some of it is he doesn't want to throw a pick, but at some point you got to throw it where your guy can make a play on it. Just throw it where only your guy can get it. Because right now, he's throwing it to where the other team can get it. Because these balls should be picked off. They're just being dropped. And the bond, man, you got to hit these guys in stride. And I'm not saying, like, he makes some good throws. Like, the short passes, he's money on. Watson, if the, object of the game was to be Dylan Gabriel every time out there, he'd be the master of this game. Like, he hits those, he finds the tight ends, Fannin, the little play action, you roll them out, find Fannin in the flat, those types of throws, fine. But, man, you start talking about throws over 10, 15, especially 20 yards, and it starts to get interesting, Shador looked solid again yesterday. Of course, he missed a pass here or there, whatever. But, he's just all he can do is go out there and, take advantage of the opportunities he's getting. But right now, Deshaun needs to come to grips with this throwing the ball deep stuff. So, the other thing that was happening yesterday, too, is they're trying to solidify this offensive line. And Elgton Jenkins, Titus Howard, both out. Some of this, this is main. They're trying to keep these guys ready. They want to make sure they don't take something and turn it into something that's going to last a lot longer and keep them out of the regular season games. Luke Whippler was at center. I'd like to hear that. DeJuan Jones at right tackle. Now, KT Levinson left practice yesterday, but he was at left tackle. So they're moving things around. They're trying things out. That's what Monken was saying. Levinson's been having trouble with his back. So they put Barber inside and then stuck Levinson back on the outside at right tackle the other day. And he said he actually thought Levinson looked better at right tackle. Remember, I'm the guy that showed you all the stats, how bad he was at right tackle last season. And that's why they moved him inside. And so, and Barber, we saw him get eaten alive in that Chicago game. And then so they moved him at guard, and so they're trying all kinds of things, can they play Austin at guard, KT at tackle? Could Elgton Jenkins play guard? That's where we're trying to get to, man, is putting Jenkins at guard. Tev Jenkins is right there, but he's a Pro Bowl guard. If Whippler could play center, Brailsford is still trying to get back from injury. DeJuan Jones back out there. So he's still doing his thing. He may be critical when it's all said and done, but they're still trying to figure out that depth along the offensive line. We know right now what it's going to look like as starters. Jenkins would be at center, Elgton at center, and Tev Jenkins at right guard, with Howard at right tackle, and then Johnson at left guard, and Fano at left tackle. Like, the left side of this line is pretty much locked in. It's the right side and center. We're still just trying some things, working on the depth and trying to figure some things out. But we'll see how it goes in the joint practice. But we got to make sure everybody stays healthy. First things first. And that being said, the unofficial depth chart came out. And I will tell you, this is as unofficial as it will ever get, because what happens on Saturday in that preseason game against the Bills, anybody that you see under the number 1, you're not going to see on the field on Saturday. Or if they are out there, it's going to be very, very, very minimal. But Judy Wallace and Malachi Corley he made a nice catch on a ball that Shedeur threw. I'm gonna Shedeur threw it. It was behind him, but Malachi Corley made a nice adjustment and made the catch. But he's hanging on for dear life here, trying to squeeze into this wide receiver room this time. And there you see Fano, Johnson, Jenkins, and Howard along the front line. But guys are getting a lot of run. DeJuan Jones, Zinter, Brailsford. Just, gosh, we need to get him a little more run. I don't think he's going to be ready for the regular season. So he'll be developing as time goes along. But KT and Austin Barber, Then you look at that wide receiver spot with Denzel Boston. Seth Tillman missing more time, man. Not helping himself at all. Gage Larvidan continues to make a name for himself. Luke Floria, who Coach talked about the other day, keep doing their thing. And I love how they stick Deshaun or Shedeur in there at quarterback. That kind of cracks me up. But we'll see a lot of Shedeur in the first half because we already know Shedeur is starting this game, so why would it be Deshaun or Shedeur? I know it's unofficial, but we know he's starting this game, just like last week. They did the same thing last week. Just stick Deshaun in there. We can take it. But you could put Shedeur in there. It's okay. And then here's your running back situation. We should see a little more of the Rocket, especially in the joint practices. He's been getting a little more run this week. Amani Marshall did a nice job last week, so there's a little bit of a battle there. I think Monken likes the Amani Marshall type, so I think he wanted to kick the tires on him because he's more of a Dylan Sampson RB2 guy, like they had in Baltimore. Brendan Bates in that tight end room is back, but he's on IR. He cleared waivers and they got him back. And Carson Ryan in that tight end line behind Blake Hart and Jack Stoll. He's been getting some run at fullback too. So still no update on Joe Royer. What Andrew Berry said back on July 30th or whatever. I think it was July 30th when he said, look, he's got personal reasons and out of respect for him, we're going to allow him to deal with this and keep his privacy. And that's it. That's all anybody knows. And we haven't seen him since. Still not back. So I would say at this point, you're getting into lost season territory for a guy I was extremely high on, Joe Royer. But the Browns won't give up on. This is similar to when Grant Delpit got here, but his was injury related, where we lost him kind of right away, and the Browns just stuck with him. And they knew what they had in him, and look where we're at now. New contracts, and he's just been balling out ever since. And then I love this KC Concepcion Isaiah Bond setup. That's the thing that going back to the Denzel Boston said Tillman. I would really love to get another big guy behind Denzel Boston just in case, just so you don't lose anything. And then this is where there's some talk of concern on the defense. When you look along the defensive line, Jared Verse, Julian Akwara, that they're talking like Ed, like we're Zadarius Smith went to Atlanta and who cares? They bring these guys in and they talk to them just to kind of feel them out, and they're not world beaters, these guys. These are guys that are at the end of their career, and they're maybe looking for a little more experience. Alex Wright, he said he's fine, he's great, he's ready to go, he wants to be, it's him and Verse, and then you got Isaiah McGuire on the other side with him. They're ready to go. So, and Malik Collins, once we get him back, it'll be interesting to see after the preseason games how close he is. I imagine it's just bubble wrap. Mike Hall Jr. back at practice yesterday, so that was good to see. Then you got Graham and Kalia Davis, of course, Sweshinger, Quincy Williams, and EMA looking good at linebacker. Winston Reed showed out last week. Justin Jefferson still trying to make a name for himself. And then the corners, there's concern. Now, left corner, Campbell and Harden. We're going to talk about Harden here in a minute because he's pretty much got that nickel spot locked down. You got Ward and D'Angelo Ross. Ross has been beat up a little bit. Delpit and McNeil. Eman's going to be out there a lot in those three safety sets. That's why you don't have to be so concerned about the cornerback depth because the three safety sets are going to help alleviate that. And then you got Ronnie Hickman. Like Christopher Edmonds, who had himself a nice game last week. Safety, we're in such a good spot when it comes to our safeties right now. And so it's not as big a concern, the corners and the edges. And so there's your unofficial depth chart, which is as unofficial as it can get because a lot of those ones are never going to see the field on Saturday. They will be full-fledged in that joint practice on Thursday. So that's why I thought it was interesting. I thought it was funny. Like, yeah, for once, this actually is. This is as unofficial as it gets. Like, even in the quarterback spot, they've Deshaun or Shador. Like, we know Shador is starting. But I wanted to go through it so you'll be ready for some of these names, some of these guys that'll be out there on Saturday because it's not gonna be the ones. And so we're building that depth, and we're getting there. And so it's not what it appears. People even Monken was asked about it yesterday, and it's like he's not there yet. More on that in a minute. But first, let's talk about Kelce. The prediction markets, the season hasn't even kicked off yet, but you can already start putting in futures, making predictions, things like that, like who's going to win the AFC Championship. We already know it's the Browns. Come on. Divisions or who's going to be the MVP of the league, things like that. You remember I put, this was on another website, but I put $5 on a whim on Shador to be MVP because it paid a ton. Hey, got to take that chance. And this was like 6 or 8 weeks ago I did it, Hey, you got to believe, right? So once he gets his chance, hopefully they'll take it over and make Dave a winner. But the prediction markets on Kelce, you're trading against your peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position, trade the draft pick, the game, and more on Kelce. That's what you can do with these prediction markets. And if you download the Kelce app and use the code FANARCHFOOTBALL to get $10 when you trade $10. So use FANARCHFOOTBALL, you'll get 10 if you trade 10, KALSHI. You can see it there on your screen. You could trade on anything, entertainment, politics, lots of things. You could TV shows. They'll give you who's going to be kicked off as Survivor. I mean, I don't even know if Survivor's still on, but like that, like stuff like that, you can do. But remember, 18 and over, restrictions and eligibility requirements do apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Kelce products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see Kelce.com/regulatory. And we appreciate Kelce sponsoring our little show. Now, back to the defense for a minute. So the corner and the edge depth. What Mike Hall, we mentioned Mike Hall Jr. was back. That was nice. He was making some plays. So perfect. Like I told you, like he said he wouldn't give anybody veteran days off, but he was kind of giving guys veteran day off. I mean, he needs these guys to be healthy, man. But I was getting a little concerned about Mike Hall there because it had been so long, but he's back. Alex Wright, described as shifty and powerful by Coach Monken, along that defensive front as well. Everybody's like, it's Darius Smith. Who cares? We're good with McGuire and Red. I look at those guys. They're like the combination of one guy. The two of those guys combined is like one Jared Verse. So if we had nobody behind Alex Wright, I'd be concerned. But we have Isaiah McGuire. And you got a bunch of guys fighting it out to back up Verse. But on Verse's side, it's a lot like Myles Garrett. No matter who you put behind him, it's going to be a drop-off. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's that good. But one of the nice things that has come out of this camp is the play of Miles Harden. And he has locked down this nickel spot because, as we showed you on the depth chart, what's nice, it's him, Campbell, and Ward are your top three corners, and then you've got your top three safeties in Hickman, Delpit, and Eman. And so that in and of itself provides you a little bit of depth at both spots because when you got to run nickel, one of those safeties, if they have to come off, and then the other way around, we're not using corners as much when you're going to these three safety sets, and we're going to be doing that a lot because Eman is so athletic. And when asked about it, Todd Monken was there, are you concerned about the cornerback depth? And he said, concerned? Well, no, not just yet. He said, we aren't playing a game yet. As we get closer, certainly, trying to find a third corner is on our radar and among the guys we have here. So there's your little push for Miles Harden to keep doing what you're doing. And the other thing to remember is this. Once these cuts start happening, and it'll be at the end of next week, they'll be bringing guys in, and that's I would much rather do that than go back to some old retread like a Clowney or a Zadarius Smith who's already on the wrong side of 30. I'd rather get somebody who maybe doesn't fit into somebody's room and has a lot of potential. And, you bring somebody in like that. That's what Andrew Berry's really good at doing. He's really good at finding guys like that. And so that's what's going to happen along, whether you're talking edge depth along the front line, which once we get all these guys healthy and back, we're going to be fine. Or even at cornerback. And so Miles Harden right now looks like that third corner, unless, something drastic happens. He should be the guy. But you're always looking. You're always looking. Monken even said it. And once these cuts start happening, you'll see it. Now, why do they like Harden so much? Well, because of his physicality. They like his toughness and run support, his zone awareness, his tackling, and his ability to play both outside and in the slot. So that's why Miles Harden is so valuable to this defense. He can do a lot of different things for you. The Browns drafted him with nickel or the slot in mind. So he's been described as the big nickel type due to his strength and willingness to engage blockers. And so none of that has changed. And so, he had that injury, that shin injury in 2024 that kept him out, but he had a nice year last year. He took a big step forward, played in 16 games, started 5, 53% of the team's snaps, had 48 combined tackles and 4 passes defended. So, you're not, interceptions are nice from him, but you're really looking for him to help run support and really, when you're in be that nickel back, man. Cover that third receiver, that fourth receiver. Cover them guys and do your job supporting the run. Because the other guy that Monken brought up was Michael Coach Jr. He's coming on. He's having a nice camp. He had the pick last week. And so as he keeps developing as well, don't forget, we've got guys. Everybody's so concerned about the depth at corner and on the front line. And I'm with Monken. I'm not there yet. I am not there yet because a lot of these injuries these are just precautionary, man. They're keeping these guys off the field just to make sure we don't need them now. We need them beginning September 13th. And so baby these guys if you have to. Mike Hall Jr. back. It's going to be fine. We'll get Ross. And, Avery's been playing a lot, so he's getting experience. So there's guys. And then once cuts start happening, if we still need somebody, we'll go and get them. That's it. Now, one thing that will never be cut, at least from this show, are the viewer comments. And we'll start with William Roble, 6626, who says, I can only think of one reason to start Deshaun Watson at quarterback. He says he gets hurt, is out for the season, and the Browns used the insurance money to pay off his contract. That's still a thing if he did get hurt. That insurance, we got it last year. He didn't play at all. That's why we knew he wasn't playing last year. They wanted to get that money back. But this year, it's still in play. We'll see. His track record is 5 or 6 games, and then he's done. But the one thing that I thought was really interesting at training camp was that nobody brought up the quarterbacks during the press conference on Pads Day. Nobody, because I think everybody is really relegated to Watson as the starter, and you just haven't said it yet. But what I thought was severely interesting was at the end when the media relations representative was like, "All right, everybody good?" And Monken, everybody's like, "Yeah, I guess so." And Monken's like, "We're good?" He was like, "Oh, all right." There's part of me that thinks he was waiting for somebody to say, "Well, where are we at in the quarterback situation? Has anything changed?" And Monken was going to say, "Well, I've already decided it's Deshaun Watson." The way he reacted, I was like, why didn't it come up? I think because, you see how he acts when you talk about the quarterback. You talk about it so much. And I think everybody just thought that it wasn't worth asking about. And then the way Monken ended the press conference, I thought, man, I felt like there was something else. He was like waiting for somebody to ask about the quarterbacks because he was like, "That's it? All right. All right, I'm out of here." and he left. So we'll see if that changes today, but I don't know. That's just the media. I wish I was there because I would have asked the question. I'd at least yelled it out at the end. I'd have been like, "Hey, wait, hold on. What about the quarterbacks? Anything different?" I mean, they asked about Taylor Green specifically. He answered that question, but they didn't ask about the other guys. They just asked about Taylor Green. Ugh. But I do think he had something to say. I do. I feel that way. Stefan Wimbley -P6M says, really, I don't see that much difference between Watson and Shedeur. I also didn't see some of these issues last year that I see with Shedeur this year. But we have eyes. We saw training camp. Watson did not outdo Shedeur. It's the money. Probably. I mean, I don't know how big a part of it is. I mean, it's a thing. Obviously, you're paying him that much money. But Monken wants to win. He's going to put the guy he thinks is most ready to run the offense. They both had the same amount of time to learn the offense. They both had the same amount of time to work with Monken. Remember, Shedeur was in town more than Watson. But the advantage Watson had was he run a system like this. I'm not saying it's the exact same kind of system, but it's very close to what he was running in Houston. So advantage Watson. So you would expect this to happen. I just can't believe he's held up and he's even there. I mean, the swing and a miss and all that. I can't believe he's even, the Monken miracle. He is performing the Monken miracle. That's what he's doing. Todd Monken is a miracle worker. That's what he is in this situation. The redevelopment of Deshaun Watson, I would have never in a million years thought we would be here. Never in a million years. But, I mean, we still have the joint practice to get through. There's still a chance. I'm saying there's a chance. Dumb and Dumber. What? I can't remember what his name. Dumb and Dumber. I'm saying there's a chance. I'm dumb and dumber. I'm both guys in this scenario. CDT5. I actually like that Monken isn't forcing Shedeur in there if he's not quite ready yet. That's what I mean. Like, try and look at this glass half full. If you're really pulling for Shedeur, my contention has always been best case scenario, Shedeur grabs the reins, never lets go. We have our franchise quarterback on a rookie contract like New England, like Chicago, like Carolina, like Denver, any of those teams. You hit the jackpot. You would hit the jackpot if Shedeur took this over and never let it go. On the flip side, Deshaun Watson has been given the opportunity 3 times before and has crashed and burned every single time. So there's no reason for me to believe this time will be different. But the Monken miracle, maybe it is the Monken miracle. But if Shedeur is not ready, Monken is the guy that would know. He's gone through this so many times, these quarterback competitions. Capital BGU 3. They got to justify starting Watson for that money he's making, period. Ain't no way I'm not opening my season without the last quarterback to take a snap last season. That's, Shedeur, it's not like he completely stunk it up last year. He showed flashes, now Monken's got him, but maybe those things, like Monken, he'll get him there. That's, again, we've talked about it. People have mentioned, sitting isn't the worst thing, and for me, the leash on Watson is extremely short. He gets the 2 road games and he's done. If he looks like the Deshaun Watson of old, I am not letting this go any more than 2 games. That's it. So that's the other thing. It's QB1 and QB1A. Shedeur's going to be in a little glass box. We'll have a little hammer ready. Somebody standing there because it's the first, when the worm burners start. We're already seeing the air balls all training camp. Even yesterday, the boss, every time he tries to throw a deep ball to Boston, he overthrows him. Break the glass. Send in Shedeur. That's what I'm saying. Danny Phipps, this is what we teased at the top. This is a huge mistake. I don't think anybody wants Watson, even if he is better. It has become a principal thing. The Browns are slowing down Sanders' growth and the team's growth. Well, he is growing. I think under Monken, I think he's learning a ton more than what he learned from Stefanski last year. But we're going to find out if it's a huge mistake. We will find out. And it'll start with that joint practice. We'll see how everything goes there. There's still a chance. Angela Loria, 7781. So, Grizz, just wondering how many games Watson would have to play really well before you would accept him as a bona fide QB1. I'm guessing about 340. Well, Angelo, not that many. And I kind of alluded to this the other day. He's got to put together like a half a season. I'm looking at like 8 games, 7 or 8 games, and I'll start to get there. I'll be like, okay, maybe he's got it all out of his system, and his head is clear, and he's back. So I will give him up to about half of the season. If we're 8-0 and in first place, I'm in. I will forget the Watson of the past, and then of course on game 9 I'll go out there and get hurt. But that's where as soon as I get back on the train, he'll get hurt. MDH Vancouver is where we will end, and he says, "Sorry, Grizz." This is funny. He calls me Grizstradamus. He says, "Sorry, Grizstradamus." He says, "You can't turn it off. Everything you say will come into existence. The 2 road games to start the season, the Monken Miracle, the 12 wins. I said 13 wins, 13-4, And I never thought about it like that. Don't forget, I want to say, don't draft Jordan Dyson, hurt in college, hurt in the pros. Now, the 2-game thing, Fritz gets credit for that because he's the one who pointed that out to me. And then the general manager, Jeff, has been telling me hurt in college, hurt in the pros for at least 10 years. So, but no, I do seem to speak things into existence. Remember I said, hey, Ced Tillman's been missing in action. And then the next day, there's Ced Tillman running all over the place. So I do have that power. I have the power to speak things into existence somehow. I just wish when I went to the betting window that I could do the same thing because I can't. I don't know. Maybe it'll start this football season. I don't know, but we'll see. All right, that'll do it for today's show. Thanks so much for joining us. Big day is almost here. Joint practice day. That'll tell us everything we need to know. And maybe, just maybe, I think we're going to get a decision, an announcement very soon. If not today, for sure, this weekend. All right, thanks for watching. Go Browns. We'll see you next time.